storage. So
It needs to come back out soon. I'm sure the explanation for that is not very exciting. It's probably just more of busyness of life, but
sort
yeah.
of, yeah, what's been happening now, 100%. So let me just put that on do not disturb. All right, so Aimee Jarvis, welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Champions, the powerlifting edition. It's awesome to
Great.
have you. Yeah.
It's great to
So
be here, yeah.
it's very, very cool. And like, thank you for getting me those pics so quickly. So it was a crazy Saturday. Saturday is my one off day. So that's the time, like with family and friends. And I went to stay with some mates who I haven't. It's actually was my oldest friend, Ellie. We've been mates from school. You already have a heart. Thank you. Look at that up on the. Yay! You're getting love. And so, yeah, it was lovely to catch up with him. So, like, I got back here at about an hour and 10 minutes ago. So it was a bit of a
Mm,
rush, but it was fun. So thank you for agreeing to see us so late. We really do appreciate that.
no problem. I'm hoping that it doesn't look too dark on my side because I'm realizing that it looked like I'm in a cave or something. But hopefully the lighting's all right.
I'm quite sure I can figure out, like, I can try and figure out how to make you brighter. Let's see if we can do that. There we go. Look at that.
Oh
And
my goodness!
there
Yeah,
we
now you
go.
can
How's that?
see all the tiny bits of my forehead. No, I'm just
There
joking.
we, yeah, no, no, no. Okay, dynamic range, dynamic range. We'll bring it down to about there. All right. So, tell us firstly, like, who are you? A little bit about your background, and then we want to hear about your powerlifting story and what this awesome sport means to you. And we are definitely going to talk about the unboxing video and dancing on the couch.
Featuring my very excitable dog.
Yes, yes.
Um, So a bit about me. So I started powerlifting when I was at university. I was a very different person back then. I struggled with anorexia when I was a teenager.
Sure.
Was really I loved sport growing up. Was into every sport under the sun. Loved netball. That was like my main passion at the time. And then when I was in high school, started to develop anorexia, and that got quite advanced to a point where my doctor basically said to me, like, I don't think you should be exercising at all. The only things that I would say that are okay are maybe stretching, yoga, things like that. So I kind of had sport removed from my life for a while, which was really painful for me, but was a kind of necessary step. And so when I went to university, I kind of felt like I had a fresh start, and I was still very much in recovery, but I was in a bit of a better place. And so my doctor at the time was like, look, let's still try and keep to lower impact stuff. Let's not do lots of cardio, but maybe you could try weight training. You could do a bit of yoga. And I was like, well, I'm sick of doing yoga and stretching, so I might as well give weight training a try. And basically, I just landed in this incredible university powerlifting community, which was right there ready to accept me, which was incredible. And looking back, I really had no idea what I was doing. Like, really skinny little girl, like coming in and didn't have a clue how to squat, bench, or deadlift, but was just doing my best, having watched videos on YouTube and things like that. And it was just the community was the thing that struck me the most. I kind of
Hmm.
started by going to a flat party, which I was invited to that the club was running. And so I went along to that, and everybody was dressed up in like pajamas, and we were watching Jurassic Park, and there was like a big tub of mini eggs going around, and everyone just seemed to have such a positive attitude, and they seemed to be really like caring for one another. And one of the biggest things that struck me was
Mm,
the attitude around food. So
right.
obviously,
Sure.
from my background, that was a big deal. And the fact was that everybody kept talking about how much they wanted to gain weight or to get bigger and to get stronger. And this was just a new concept to me. Like, I was used to, how can you be smaller and lighter and
Mm,
faster? And so this was a completely different world, but a very positive one for me in my life at that time. And to be perfectly honest, like looking back, I genuinely credit powerlifting to saving my life.
sure.
I don't think I would be here without it. And so, man, I actually didn't expect to get emotional talking about this, but it really, like, I'm very, very grateful to the sport, but not just the sport for what it is, but the community that's around it. And I know that my very first powerlifting coach that I had, who's a coach that mainly coaches lifters in Scotland, his name's Lewis Walker, and he did an awful lot for me in terms of teaching me the ropes, turning somebody who had no clue what they were doing into a lifter who had competed at British level and even gone to Commonwealth in Canada in 2019. So um, he was just really helped me and guided me, but also held me accountable. And there was a couple of times where I was saying, "Oh, I'm going to cut weight. I'm thinking about moving down a weight class, etc." And him and his girlfriend at the time were very, very supportive of me and checking me and kind of saying, "Look, you can't do that, and we're not going to let you compete if you decide to lose weight," and things like that. So it was like a very supportive community, but also one that
Mm,
held me accountable. And I'm very, very grateful to those people to this day, and I still
sure.
have good relationships with them, which is fantastic.
You know, so I think just before we came on air, I mentioned to you that I've been sober for 18 years. And one of the
Yeah.
big pillars of my recovery is working at rehab centers and using physical training and exercise to help
Mm,
addicts in recovery, in early recovery, sort of develop a little bit of mental toughness and self belief. And I've had the opportunity to work with many young girls who are
mm,
struggling with anorexia. And, you know, the thing is, for me as an alcoholic, it's easy. I don't drink. For a drug addict, it's easy. You don't take drugs. But when
mm,
it's around your relationship with food, it's the
mm,
hardest thing to recover and to deal with. And just, I want to take my hat off to you and just say it's
mm.
incredible. And I'm very grateful that you're sharing this, because it really is a message that needs to get out there. And the mind shift of it's not the weight on the scale, because you can never,
Yeah.
ever, ever be thin enough. It's the weight on the bar that matters. And to
Yeah.
find the sport and to say that powerlifting saved your life, I completely understand that. I completely
Yeah.
understand that. And I've
Hmm.
seen the sport help addicts in recovery. Um, it's the most wonderful thing to see them build that self-worth and that self-development, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's
Mm,
anorexia. It is an incredible sport, and so much of that, probably all of
mm.
it, is really the community. So I mean, I just want to say thank you for sharing that with us.
No, you're very welcome. And I think I totally agree. And I think it's interesting how you kind of group that in as well with some of the issues of addiction. Because for me personally, it was like an addiction to a way of being, to a
Mm,
mindset, to a feeling, to a sense of control
yes.
that I had when I was restricting. I had this kind of sense of I've got my life together when I'm able to almost be this disciplined. And I think I kind of turned to it in periods of stress. And do you know, it's one of these things as well. Like I very recently have made the decision to move up to the 63 kilo class, having been a 57 kilo lifter for most of my powerlifting career. And I thought that that would be an intensely difficult thing for me because
Hmm.
um, gaining weight and moving up to a weight class was just something that I always perceived to be very scary. And I think it's been
Yeah.
a testament to how far I've actually come, because the journey has actually been quite simple. And yes, there's been ups and downs and days where I felt very uncomfortable in my body, but it was a case of reminding myself, like, this is a necessary part of a process and it is just a feeling. Like, other people are not looking at you going like, "Oh my goodness, she's let herself go," or like,
No,
she's
yeah.
got like fat or something. They're thinking, "Oh my goodness, she's adding lots of weight to her total, like she looks so
That exact,
strong."
yeah,
Like
that's what I
all of
want to
those
ask.
things.
How's the
Yeah, and
total?
so the total's definitely heading upwards, which is what we want to see. So I
Awesome.
do think that that's been a real testament recently to the progress that I have made and the
Sure.
difference that powerlifting has made to me. And I suppose to add to that, one thing that powerlifting does do is continuously challenge you. It doesn't let you become stagnant in your mindset or drift into old habits. It
Hmm.
forces you to keep moving forward, and that's always been a massive thing that I've found has benefited me in the sport. So yeah.
Oh, phenomenal. What have been some of your highlights in the sport? I know you mentioned Commonwealth in Canada. If memory serves correct, I wasn't there, but I do remember the South African team coming back and talking about how late they had a lift and how much of a pain it was to make weight and to cut weight because it was the late hours. And suddenly you're lifting at
Mm,
11 o'clock at night. And then I was saying to the guys, yeah,
mm.
but that's fitting more into the South African schedule like a morning session. You should have enjoyed it. They didn't like that.
Yeah, Commonwealth, I was very lucky because I ended up in one of the early morning flights because I was a
Okay.
junior lifter at the time. I think we were very lucky. We got the nice early flights. So, yeah, Commonwealth is still actually my favorite competition to date. So I am
Awesome.
very much looking forward to round two as an open lifter, which will be very exciting. But yeah, it's still one of the best competitions I've done. I came in with very little expectation. And I think that was the best thing because I was probably ranked, I don't know, maybe fifth or sixth. But I came in and went away with two single lift medals, one silver in squat and a bronze medal in deadlift. And I just did not expect it. And we
Well,
just happened to play the cards right on the day and it kind of came together. So it was a massive high and
yay.
definitely a highlight.
Actually, we need one of these. One of these as well. Yep.
Definitely. Yeah,
That's
that's how I felt.
fantastic. Cool. And you spoke about sort of where you played the game, right? And that's really where the coaching and the support team come in. It's
Yeah.
it's you under the bar, but it's definitely a team sport.
This is very true. And my handler, Alice, she's handled me once before at my most recent comp, and she is absolutely fantastic. So I know I'm in safe hands. And I think just generally the coaching team that Scotland are bringing are
Hmm.
fantastic. And actually, for the first time, we've got a majority female coaches coming with us, which is very
Awesome.
exciting for us in the
Okay.
sport to see more women actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the coaching teams because it's maybe not something we see as often, which is fantastic. And I just know that Alice will make all the right calls on the
Oh,
day and
brilliant.
keep me accountable where maybe I want to lift a bit more than I need to. So we'll see what happens.
100%. And I love that point of having more female coaches than guys, because I think that's what we all need to grow. And then we can go to the Olympic committee and say, are you not bringing
Yeah.
us in because we're predominantly female coached? And then they'll be like,
Really get stressed.
yeah, start a little bit
But
of a
you're in
panic.
next year.
Yep, you're in now. As a matter of fact, we're going to move it forward. You can start today. So I think while we're laughing, let's chat about your epic, epic, epic video with your unboxing.
Yeah, so it's so funny. My little dog Barney wants to get involved in everything. He's like all the energy that I have times 10. To be fair, he is just under 2, so he's still kind of like a baby-ish.
Is he
But
your
yeah,
baby?
he
Be honest. Is he your baby?
my baby. He is my baby. I'm
Yeah.
terrible for babying him. But yeah, he just is like wants to be in the midst of everything. So whenever any parcel comes, he's got his nose in it. So he was extra intrigued by the parcel. So I thought I'd just involve him in the video. So it was very fun, but definitely the coolest singlet that I own. And I
Yeah,
do have a GB one from a time when I was a junior, and it's cooler than that one.
sure.
I
That's fair. I
think
think, yeah.
just
We,
sorry, I
we,
think just getting, like, to
yeah.
compete for Scotland is pretty cool as well because we don't
Yeah.
usually get to compete as a nation. It's usually we compete as GB, and it's just really cool
Mm-mm.
to get to represent, Scotland because we're all very patriotic
So,
up here.
100%. How big is the team coming down?
It's pretty big, so including everybody, who maybe is competing in single lifts or our masters lifters, junior lifters, and the
Mm.
open team, we've got about 70 lifters, which is
Oh, brilliant.
incredible. Just shows the growth of the sport up here, which is great.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Have you got lifters coming out for masters as well?
Yeah, we do. So we've
Awesome.
got quite a big group who some of whom are going for Masters Worlds
Mm.
and others who are going as Masters lifters for the Commonwealth. So
Commonwealth.
we've got
Okay.
both.
Well, if we got some of the
Yeah.
Masters Worlds guys, we'd love to talk to them because it's harder to get hold of the Masters. Like the Commonwealth guys are happy to. So if
I'm
you
sure I
could,
can get a couple. I'll
yeah,
get a couple names for you.
thank you. If we could bully some of them, we'd really appreciate it. So,
Okay, I'll put a word in.
yay, awesome. So I think we have to reach out to SBD and SBD. If you're listening to this, please, we need a singlet for Barney.
We do. We
I think
do.
he needs his own singlet, and that would be epic.
I think the marketing campaign would just sell
Yeah.
so many SBD products. Like,
SPD puppy singlets. I mean, it's a thing. It definitely could be a thing. You could make it for winter out
I
of the
think,
knee sleeve neoprene. You could make it for the
yeah,
puppies for winter. Yeah.
yeah, for when he does his squat max, like
Yeah.
100%, he needs one.
Absolutely. What is his squat max?
My squat max.
No, Barney's no.
So oh, Barney's. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Not going to ask you your
Probably.
numbers before you come out. We'll discuss that we're going to do a follow-up interview with everybody after the comp, and then we can chat numbers.
Oh,
So,
perfect. That would be great.
no.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, so tell us about your podcast.
So my podcast is called The Bars Loaded. The idea was originally that it would be a little bit different from. We've got quite a lot of great podcasts here in the
Mm,
UK, that are around powerlifting, but a lot of them maybe are, bringing on guests and talking about a recent competition that they did, or looking at a competition coming up and who might be the
mm,
big names. So I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. So in the podcast, essentially, I have various guests on to talk about particular topics that are related to powerlifting. So I've had a psychologist on,
mhm.
whom we're talking about dealing with failure and mindset. I've had Meg Scanlon on talking about her pregnancy, and coming back and winning worlds after twins, which was
Sure.
really, really
That's epic.
fascinating. Her story, it's just very inspiring. I've had Bobby Butters on in terms of talking about hype and
Mhm,
arousal, and also a little bit about her research about the menstrual cycle and how that
mhm.
impacts training, which she's currently working on, which
And
is
and there's a
interesting.
huge focus on that within the IPF coaches training and development academies, where that's now a standalone section because it's something that's
Mm.
vital for athlete safety as well.
Yeah, it's I'm very, very glad that it's becoming a more mainstream conversation,
Mm,
because I think as women, it can be quite hard to, uh, broach that subject with your coach,
yeah.
potentially, if they're a male coach and things like that, but it's really important that you have those conversations, with your coach, because it can be something that does really affect your training and sometimes your performance, and obviously
Mhm.
sometimes you have to compete when you're on your period and things like
Yeah,
that, so
and
it
then that
can
can
be.
affect your weigh-in because of the weight gains
Yeah.
and the fluctuations. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great topic.
So it's been really interesting, actually, and we've got some great guests on. The other one that comes to mind is we talked to Amy Rose Deathley, who is
Mhm,
a photographer here in the UK, and she did this kind of book project where she studied basically. So I think her first one was called Power, and it
mhm.
was a book basically that photographed like female athletes, including powerlifters, and kind of told their stories. And it was just a really powerful book, and we talked about kind of the influence of that, the impact that it had amongst the powerlifting community, and kind of talking about
Sure.
strong women in the sport and things like that. And then she followed that project up with another one called Masculinity, spelled MASK, and she talked about male
Mm,
athletes relationship with masculinity, and yeah, and just had a bunch of male athletes, powerlifters, and other athletes, and did a similar photography project. And I just thought it was a fascinating study that she did, and kind of research project, I suppose. And so I had her on to have a conversation. So it's a little bit different than your average podcast, but
mhm.
yeah, so we've had some great guests
Brilliant.
on.
So if you can share the links with those, please, and then I'll put them in the description so people can go
Of course,
and
yeah,
access them. It'll be awesome.
definitely. Yeah.
Your connection to fundraising in the sport. Can we
Yeah,
chat a little
so
bit about that?
of course, yeah. So I'd say I've probably been the fundraising and sponsorship coordinator for Scottish powerlifting for just under a year. And this kind of came, we've probably only had that role for about a year beforehand. Um, and we basically started asking for sponsors for our main competitions. And as a result, we're able to give like a financial prize to the top three athletes in both the male and kind of female division, but also just elevate the experience for the
Mm-hmm.
athletes kind of across the board. So it just kind of added a lot of hype and meant that, there was more visibility of the sport through various brands, etc. So at the moment, we've kind of got a sponsorship program where all of our key championship competitions, so that's like juniors, our university championships,
Mm-hmm.
the open championships, um, and the masters. But then we also have this year we've got home nations as well, which is like an
Yes.
extra comp. So essentially we kind of look for gold, silver, and bronze tier sponsors, and those can be any sort of organization, coaching company, corporate sponsor, any. I'm happy to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And we offer like various visibility benefits based off of different price points for those kind of tiers. And it's been really great at our classic championships. We think we sold out all of our sponsorship opportunities,
Sure.
and we had loads of sponsors for our first for classics this year, and that was like a really big milestone, I suppose, in seeing the interest just really skyrocket. And now we're actually having like apparel companies like
Mm-hmm.
message me and say, actually, I'd really like to get involved next year. I'm speaking to coffee shops, all sorts of anybody who'll listen.
That's
It's
brilliant.
really exciting being part of this at this time for sure in the sport, because obviously sponsorship is something that's growing more widely across powerlifting in all countries, but it's really cool to see the investment in it in Scotland.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, and it's vital because it's expensive to train, and okay, we can sort of get away with that self-funding because it's part of our lifestyle and what we want to do. But
Mhm.
when travel comes into it, it becomes a big
Yeah.
expense.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's been quite difficult insofar as for the Commonwealth. Originally, I'd hoped to be able to have like a some corporate sponsors who would
Mm.
contribute a more significant sum. But it's been very difficult to actually attract corporate sponsors, partially because they maybe don't know so much about the sport, but also the time of year and things like that. They were
Mm.
kind of saying that maybe their budgets had been spent, sponsorship budgets had been spent on other things, or they had a particular focus for the year. They wanted to spend their sponsorship stuff on a particular club that they'd already supported. So I'm learning all the time about, okay, when's the best time to reach out to these
Mm-hmm.
people? When is the
Mm-hmm.
most funding available? And I think like it will just be a matter of time before we do kind of strike gold with a
Find the
corporate
balance.
partnership.
Yeah,
And then,
absolutely.
yeah, and then we can kind of take it from there. But I think this year's been a bit of a learning curve with Commonwealth. It's been a lot more challenging. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a case of just emailing Haribo, which I've done, and been like, "Hey, can you support us?" Or there's lots of different organizations that I've reached out to. It's a lot more. You kind of have to build the relationship a
Mm-hmm.
bit and find out what their needs are, what their priorities are, and kind of when their funding is available. So
Yes.
for me, that's something I've definitely learned this year, and I'm hoping next year, if I'm re-elected, I can kind of build on that
Oh,
for sure.
brilliant. And it is vital, and that's why we do this because it's about. Yeah, I started these podcasts last year at World Bench at Sun City, and I just saw the
Mm,
feedback was so great. And because we're live streaming both events, we're live streaming them simultaneously. The Commonwealth will be on this platform, World Masters will be on our second channel, which is Emmett Media Extra, and
mhm.
putting both of those out and wanting to create awareness for an event that's going to have over 1,000 lifters plus the support staff. It's going to be it's the biggest comp ever yet, as far as I'm aware. I don't think there's been anything, and technically it's two competitions, but it's one competition. I know that because
Yeah,
I'm announcing both simultaneously. So that's going to be fun. So, you
yeah,
know,
lucky you, good luck.
yeah, going to have to be like, bar loaded for this, wait, but so
Oh,
it'll
you're gonna
be
need all your different sheets with everyone's names on them and
On them.
everything.
Yep, absolutely. It's going. No, I'm just going to go bar loaded, platform one, bar loaded, platform two, bar. No, good lift, good lift. No, we'll see. We're going to make it work. We'll make it work. I'm actually sitting next to Heather Layton, who runs the computers, and she is a machine. So she keeps everything going, and she'll be leaning over and going, "No, that's not how you pronounce it. It's like this." I'll be like, "Oh, bar loaded for." So yeah, it makes it a lot easier. A lot easier. I wanted so this is about creating exposure and awareness of the sport and of the stories, because the value of
Mm,
powerlifting, I think, is the engagement or the involvement of a sponsor with
mm,
an athlete who may not necessarily be a champion, may not be
mm.
world number one, but it's someone that aligns with their brand and their values. Because powerlifting,
Yeah.
I've joked about it a few times on the series, where it's like you don't hear of powerlifters crashing their Bugatti in Monaco with two French models on the passenger seat. It's not our kind of sport yet, you know. you know,
No, no.
but it's wholesome, and that's one of the descriptions that we had. It's wholesome, it's community, it's family, it's supportive. Listening to the young lifters. I had a young lifter, Michael, on from Northern Ireland. I think it was Mike. I don't want to get into trouble here. It was because I think I've done about 20 of these since Thursday last week. So it's quite a lot.
Wow.
And I've got two more this evening, and we've got 7 booked for tomorrow, I think. So I'm getting
Oh
in
my
as much as
goodness.
I can. So he was saying, like, his girlfriend comes out to watch, and he's a junior and sits there for 10,
Mm,
12, 11 hours to support. And that's really the
mm.
value of this community. And it's
Yeah,
really something in this day and age with all the chaos that's going on. These are the
yeah,
wholesome athletes that brands need to be associating themselves with, and
yeah,
supporting the clubs as well.
yeah.
Had chatted to a couple of Kate Clark's athletes out of her club, just amazing
Mm,
girls with really who have had some challenging times, whether
mm.
it's lifestyle that wasn't so healthy, or the loss of a loved one, and how the sport has helped them, and how the sport has helped them grow and find themselves. So yeah, I'm going to keep
Yeah.
on at it. I'm a pit bull on I'm a pit bull on 8 double espresso, so I don't stop.
100%. I'll just echo that because I
Mm,
do think that we need, yeah, it's such a wholesome sport to sponsor. It's such, when you learn more about it, you
mhm.
realize how valuable it is to brands, really, because it's just such a community oriented sport, which has so many amazing stories. And I know that you spoke to Nicola Murray as well, who's in our
Mhm.
team. She's just one example of somebody who has an incredible story of how powerlifting has equipped her with such a resilient mind that she has
Yes.
been able to overcome so much in terms of injury and being at death's door, and honestly just such an
Sure.
incredible person. And I think it was Primal recently actually did a video
Mm,
of her as part of one of their kind of marketing campaigns, just telling her story. And it's things like that. There's so many stories. I mean, maybe
yeah.
not quite as dramatic as Nicola's, but there's many stories that are similar, in a similar vein, where powerlifting has really transformed somebody's life. And there's
Mm,
just endless potential in terms of the stories that could be told from this community. And that's definitely something that brands should consider as well when they
absolutely.
consider
And,
sponsoring
yeah,
powerlifting.
well, firstly, and ta-da, hi. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, you know, no, I mean, not to bully you, but I can do this if I have to. Hang on, let me just find this controller here. So, I mean, not that I'm looking directly at you. Yeah, yeah, me and my toys, so much fun. But like your example, it's phenomenal. And I've
Yeah.
seen guys battling with alcoholism and battling with drug
Mhm.
addiction and finding the sport. And I have one of my athletes, took him 3 years to qualify for nationals, but he
Mm.
kept coming back to qualify for nationals. And
Mhm.
I mentioned you have to go down to 66 kilos, and he qualified that year.
Yeah.
Because you know, because he's walking around at like 73.8. So yeah, that it helps. But
Mhm.
it's so valuable, and it's so important. It's something really that we have to do. And just between us, I spent 15 years selling insurance. So the brands don't stand a chance. Now that I've got this bee in my bonnet, we're gonna get it done.
next coming
Yeah,
for them. Yeah.
absolutely. So for you, let's talk a little bit more about the community and what it means to you and what it's given you.
Yeah, sure. So I suppose my first community of powerlifting was the weightlifting club at the
Mm.
university, which is incredible and is where I have formed some incredibly deep friendships, which I have to this day, and that's probably about 6 years later.
Yay.
Um,
Any shout outs or mentions you want to do? Sorry to interrupt.
well, I'll mention so Chloe Neal, who's still one of my best pals, flatted with her at university, like still one of my best friends. Kirsty as well, who's also on the committee and who's the team manager for our team, which is honestly the amount of grit and determination she has to do all of the hard work that she does administratively. She's also the treasurer at Scottish Powerlifting. So
Mm-hmm.
massive thank you to her for all that she does. Carolina as well, who was a close friend of mine who probably met me from day one. There's so many people. I feel like I'm probably missing people out as well, but there was many people that came around me and that didn't judge me for my terrible form or my insane ambitions. It's actually
Yeah.
really funny. Somebody said to me in the gym the other day, it was actually one of our friends, James, who was part of Paisley Barbell, and he said, Aimee, if you could go back and say to your younger self and show them what you're doing now, would you not be so impressed? And I went, no, James, when I started in my first competition, I was like, I will hit a 400 total by the time I finished the junior division. And he was like, honestly, I was insane. Like I had big ambitions from the start, and I was very determined to achieve them. If it hadn't have been
Brilliant.
for COVID, I might have actually hit that goal. It was very close. But yeah, it's just that community was very, very instrumental in keeping me in the sport. And I just formed such close friendships that basically all my friends at uni became powerlifting friends. Like I didn't really have other friends because I spent all my time in the gym when I wasn't studying as well. And they ended up becoming your library mates as well. And you just did life together, which was great, and we were just also invested in one another, which was fantastic. And it's been great being able to keep some of those friends in that community, because so many people leave university and then they
Mm.
kind of don't really see their uni friends until they maybe have a wedding or something like that. But I get to see them at every comp, and it's fantastic, and we get to catch up, and so that's been fantastic. And then probably just after COVID, I joined Paisley Barbell Club,
That
which
is the
is a
best name for a gym ever.
yeah, Paisley Barbell. They are absolutely fantastic. Just a group of very dedicated power lifters who all have the same goal in mind. Very similar to the university club in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just a fantastic community, and I train with them like 2-3 times a week at Anvil Strength Gym, and we just have such a laugh, and it makes training and long training sessions so much more enjoyable. And you can always drop somebody a message and say, oh, I'm hitting a really big squat tonight, who's going to be in? And you'll get a whole crew of spotters, people shouting at you, and it just makes the whole thing so much more enjoyable.
Oh.
Because during COVID I did train at home by myself for a
Mm.
while, and I just it became so hard to find the motivation to get up from your laptop, which was about 2 feet away, and then walk to the walk to the your kit and do your training session. It
Yeah.
it became very, very depressing and difficult without the community, and I've just found such a benefit to my well-being and to my training from being part of a community again like Paisley Barbell. So yeah.
Awesome. And not to knock paddle, which is a great sport. We've had a couple of paddle guys on here. I think I'm going out to a country to our north to do some workshops with the paddle stuff. But you don't hear about older people, my age, middle-aged people, getting injured in powerlifting when they start out. But guys going to
Mhm.
paddle, running into wall in the glass, breaking noses, breaking shoulders. So if you're older, this is a better community. If you're younger, it's not we
Yeah.
love paddle, but this is safer for older people. Let the youngsters stick to
Yeah.
paddle. You know.
Do you know? honestly, Nick, it's just to share another like inspiring story. So my husband recently got into powerlifting. I'd say he probably started it about a year and a bit ago. He was a cyclist. That's not the inspirational bit, but he was a cyclist
Mm.
and kind of started lifting.
Yes.
Um, I've suddenly gone very, very
I,
bright. So
I
let's
was
see if
going
I
to
can
say,
sort that.
someone's blinding you. It's okay.
Um, but yeah, so that was great. But
Mm.
very, very recently, both of his parents have started powerlifting, which
Hey.
is absolutely incredible. And then most recently, my sister-in-law has started
Oh.
coming along too. And it's not just sweet because it's like a family affair, but also both of Johnny's parents are a bit older. They're probably, I think his dad's about 60 now, and his mum's just under that. And both were very, very fit in their younger years and did judo. I think one of them's a
Mhm.
black belt actually, so you wouldn't want to cross them. And
So
but
you have to
I
listen to
think
your in-laws, huh?
yeah, but I don't think like they've kind of I think particularly Johnny's mum after she had both him and his sister just kind of stopped training and things like that.
Mm.
And I think they're both a little bit on the bigger side, and they've both said that they wouldn't feel comfortable really stepping into a gym, or that's a very intimidating environment for them. And just
Yeah.
seeing them consistently come every single week, just doing, learning the movements and just being consistent with it. And actually seeing the other week, one of them came up to us and said, you do not know the difference this has made to me and my life. And it's just that way where you want to shake them and say, you're getting it, like you understand, because all of us have felt like that at this time. Exactly, and
Yeah.
it's a very transformative sport, and the fact that it's such a welcoming space for people of all sizes as well,
Mm.
like, you don't feel out of place if you are a bit of a bigger person in a
Yeah.
powerlifting gym. I think it's quite unique in that way, in terms of going into commercial gym could be incredibly, intimidating for someone like that, and it's just
Unless
great we've
there's a
got.
powerlifting coach in that gym. And that's
Yes,
something we've
probably,
gotten on
yes,
this. Yeah. When there's a powerlifting coach in the gym, you're safe. I mean, nothing against any
yeah.
other personal trainer or other coaches, but yeah, there's something special about this community.
Definitely, and we all look out for each other and make
Mm.
sure that everybody feels comfortable. Like I know in Paisley Barbell, if somebody walks in that we've never seen before, it's like, right, who can go and speak to them and make sure that they're okay? And soon you kind of learn, oh, I've just moved up here, or I'm thinking of entering this comp, and it's like, do you have a handler? Do you need support? How can we help you? Have you got a program? Have you got a coach? All of these things, and just being able to support somebody like that is yeah, it's just such a blessing as well. It's funny when you start actually giving like this and contributing to the community, you realize that it gives you just as much as you're giving it. It really does. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, so it's a wonderful thing, service, and it just like we all grow through it. So that's absolutely awesome.
Mm.
Let's chat a little bit about Sun City. When I say expectations, I mean about Sun City or the competition or both. I mean, talk about whatever you're comfortable to talk about. I don't want to get into trouble with any coaches. You asked my athlete what.
I'm very, very excited about Sun City. I've heard from people who competed there at IPF World that it's an incredible venue, actually, probably one of their favorite
Mm-hmm.
venues, which is setting my expectations high. So I'm really, really looking forward to it, not just because of the lifting, but because
Mm.
of a chance to spend basically was an incredible holiday in an amazing country with all of my best friends. So
Yay! Sorry, I
that's
have
going
to
to
go
be.
again. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very exciting opportunity. So I'm trying to view it quite holistically in terms of
Mm.
not sitting there going, I need to have this number, I need to come away with this medal, but actually being like, look, I'm going to a competition to really enjoy myself. I loved Commonwealth last time. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere and with some amazing people. But on the other hand, my prep is also going very, very well. So I also do have some sneaky expectations in,
Woohoo!
in the back of my mind. So at the moment in the nominations, I think I'm third. I'm planning that if I do get the opportunity to kind of pull for an overall medal, I will 100% load it up and do it,
Ah,
if
awesome.
it looks feasible. So that's kind of my goal overall.
Mm.
In terms of the single lifts, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. I know for squat's been going really, really well. I think I can push that and push it probably and get quite a big PB, I think, on squat. We'll see.
Woohoo.
On bench press, I've had a couple of meets recently with bench which haven't gone very well. So I just want to build my confidence on bench and just play it safe,
Mm.
get a nice 3 for 3 day, and just start to build my confidence again and have a positive relationship with that lift. And then deadlift is always where the fun begins, isn't it? So we'll just
Absolutely.
see what happens on deadlift, and we'll just load up what we need.
Yeah. Deadlift is where the fun begins for the athlete and where the cardio begins for the coach and the handlers.
Yeah, they're running about changing
Yeah,
everything, Yeah.
exactly. So the cool
But I
thing
trust
is,
that Alice will know what to do.
so you were
Sorry,
saying, yep,
sorry.
yep. No, no, you go ahead.
I just said I trust that Alice will 100% know exactly what number I will be able to do on the day and what I'm
Mm,
gonna need. So I'll just trust it 100% her judgment. So we'll
brilliant.
see.
Yeah, and I hope she's listening. So there we go. So
You've got it.
yeah. So two things. One with the bench. Sun City is great because South Africa has phenomenal meat. And Sun City being a resort, it's a little bit more expensive than the rest of South Africa, but it's still really
Mm,
cost effective. So there's a lot of good meat. And just bear this in mind, and I'm not making this up, I promise. Uh, Sun City is in a valley, which is it's a dormant volcano. And because of the magnetic forces in that area, it tends to push weights away from the ground. So particularly on the bench press, they seem to move up much, much easier. It's amazing. You may
my
even
bench
have
is
to
gonna
push.
be 10
You may
kilos.
yeah, absolutely. You may even have to push your deadlift down to the ground. So
Yeah, I'll just be flying away.
it's like with the squat bar. Yeah, yeah. No, so yeah, it's Sun City is very special because it's this massive resort in the African bush. It's in the Pilanesberg Game Reserve. It's
Yeah.
warm. I mean, this year we've got the water park's going to be open. I've been raving about this on every episode. I've noticed. So, they've got the tidal pool, the wave pool, which is epic with a beach, and there's some
Mm,
massive water slides. There's some lazy water slides. Each hotel's
mhm.
got a fantastic pool, and you can just walk around, and it's in nature, and it's so relaxing. So, as a venue to clear your mind, clear your head, take some time between your lifts, between helping out. The venue is right by the hotel, so it's either a little walk or you take a shuttle. It's so easy to get around. There's lots of restaurants, and then after lifting, there's lots of bars and a couple of nightclubs there that you can have a lot of fun with. The banquet's going to be epic. So it's a
Yeah.
great location. It's really a great location. So it's definitely bench is going to be so easy. You're going to be like, add another
Easy.
80, put on some
Yeah,
80.
just open on a TV. Why not? Well,
Yeah.
you didn't hear me
Yeah, no, no,
say
no, no, no. But you may hear me say, put some weight on that after you
that.
bench. Okay.
Yeah, I'll expect
Oh,
that.
brilliant. So, just to go a little more serious, just sort of as we start to wrap up, we opened with you so kindly sharing your story with anorexia, and that I hope there may be a possibility of a young girl or a young guy who's battling with that that's listening to this. Let's
Mm.
talk about why powerlifting. So we've got the community, we've got the healthy weights. Let's chat to them about why they should consider this.
I think if you're struggling with anorexia, one of the biggest things that powerlifting will do is once you start it, it can be quite addictive. And to get good at it, you have to eat food and you have to
Mm,
work on your positive relationship with food. Now, the cool thing is that the happiness and the elation of hitting a PB and tangibly seeing yourself put more kilos on a bar is far outweighs the feeling that you get of feeling in control when you
mm,
restrict or you starve yourself. And that was the thing that ultimately changed everything for me, was the fact that it just made me more happy, to actually be able to put more weight on the bar and to see myself achieve more and to hit PBs than the feeling of, being in control and going back to old habits and old ways and feeling the comfort of that from the restriction. And I think that is something to anybody listening. Do try it,
Mm.
because you do find that the impact that it'll have on you in terms of your well-being and the feeling of wanting to do more and to get better and to achieve more is just far outweighs all of the negative things and the things you're battling with, and it will make those battles feel a lot easier. That's certainly been my
Sure.
experience. It's just given me more motivation to change, and I think um maybe I think there's probably lots of different addictions or issues that you can kind of get to a point where you feel like this, but for me with anorexia, I got to a point where I genuinely didn't care what anybody else thought, how this was hurting anybody else, how it was
Yeah.
hurting me. Um, I was kind of in such a place where I was like, I cannot live without doing this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what gives me comfort. And I think I needed something pretty significant to pull me out of that mindset. And powerlifting was that thing for me. It was something that just gave me far more satisfaction than the feeling of being in control from starving myself. And so it was the thing that turned everything around, and suddenly I was able to see how it had affected other people. And I was able to also have the motivation of doing it for them too. So, yeah, I'd just say try it because you probably won't regret it.
Sure. That's so well said and so well put. And it's like, just try it because it may well save your life. And
Yeah.
I can identify as an alcoholic that you sort of feel that you're hurting those around you and yourself, but it
Mm.
doesn't matter because you still need to be in control. And I drank to control my pain.
Mm.
Like that's, I couldn't deal with the trauma and I couldn't deal with the pain, even though I didn't remember it.
Mm.
And it
Mm.
was so, that's what's so incredible. And it's about the sport because it's linear and you
Mm.
can show yourself improvements. You're getting better and you can start to believe in yourself and start to find like, what I did, what, like I remember hitting 115 on the bench in my first
Mm.
competition and I'd worked so hard for that. And, and
Yeah.
and I got it on my third attempt in the bench press. And it was like, what? Yeah, and I arrived at that first competition in cargo shorts and a t-shirt. I didn't even know we had a lift in a singlet. Like my
I
coach
was
was like, "What the hell are you wearing?" It's like, "Well, what else do I wear? This is what I train in."
I was the same. Like, literally, my first competition, my mum brought me, and she had no clue what she was about to walk into, honestly. And it was in this really small gym, which was quite relatively dark and dingy,
Yeah.
big metal music playing, and then there was just wee me. And so it was funny because I'd forgotten that I didn't know that I couldn't wear a t-shirt that
Mm,
didn't have like logos and things on it, or that
mm,
weren't
mm.
IPF approved logos. So I just brought in any old t-shirt, and my mom had to run out to like H&M and buy me
Yeah.
like a plain black t-shirt. And it's so funny, like looking back at it, I remember missing like the rack command on bench and things like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
just silly like beginner mistakes. But the feeling of putting that third deadlift down and having got it, I don't think I'll ever forget it. And
Mm.
everybody just screaming and like really willing you on. It was just such a amazing feeling. And then obviously getting to go with everybody for a burger afterwards
Yeah.
and kind of celebrate together. That
Yeah.
was, yeah, maybe I can keep coming back for that. Who knows?
Absolutely. Or you sit there and you watch the like the juniors or the sub juniors eating McDonald's after their weigh in, and you think, yeah, that's going to change soon. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You're out for an omelet and something, it's not going to take too much energy for digestion and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
You're
oh, brilliant.
assessing everything. I remember when I used to cut in from the into the
Mm.
57s. In my last competition, I did that. I was cutting from about 60 just over, and honestly, that was the most disciplined, painful experience of my life. It's like you're literally weighing cucumber like the
Yeah.
day before. I'm like, this is so bad. Like I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
Maybe that was
That,
what put me over the edge. I don't know. I'm doing the
I
63.
yeah. I genuinely believe that each division needs a medal for the most weight dropped to make the class. The biggest struggle. Maybe write in a letter or something like the difficulty, but yeah, there needs to be a second tier participation medal for making weight.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the harder parts of the process.
Yeah.
I think that's been a huge thing is being up a weight class now, not having to think about that. It just makes the whole
But you
process so
don't
much
do it.
smoother.
Yeah. My journey is 83, 93, 105. I'm looking up and eyeing the 120. We'll see.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I thought it would take me forever to fill out this
Mm,
class. But that's me being about I think I'm coming up for 9 months of bulking, and
mm.
I'm just over 62. So I'm
Okay.
actually put on the weight relatively quickly.
That's
So
good. That's perfect. And the weight comes with the numbers on the bar, which is awesome.
yeah.
It's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's great.
Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or to mention? And before I forget, I'd love to get your in-laws onto the show as well. Maybe after Commonwealth, we can chat to them about their journey. We chat to the four of you guys together.
Oh, it'd be so funny, a family
Mm?
podcast.
Yeah, and they'll be
Yeah,
going, what did you get us into? It's like, we're not
yeah.
famous as well. You're not famous. Yeah. Going to see people at competitions with their photos on a t-shirt.
Mm. Yeah, the Jarvie family.
Yeah.
Um But yeah, so I mean, there's so many people, and at risk of missing certain
Yes.
people out, I'll kind of do them in groups in some way. So apart from the one that I won't do in a group is Johnny, my husband. He's just so supportive, even at the start. Maybe this is sloppy, but even from the start, where he had absolutely no clue what powerlifting was, he'd never been to a powerlifting meet before. He was showing up and cheering me on all the way, and he's taken me all over the place, driven me down to British Championships, driven me up north to different things, and just has always been such a supporter, even when he didn't share the love for the sport that I do, and now he does, and it's even more special. But I'm
Awesome.
just so grateful for him and his support in dealing with me when I'm grouchy and coming in late after a long training session and cooking my dinner for me and all of those things that just make such a
Oh,
difference. And then I suppose I'm really grateful to my training community, the fact that they cheer me on all the way, that they create such a positive environment to be able to lift in. And it just makes the late nights of training when you're peaking just incredibly easier and things you can actually look forward to instead of dread. So I always look forward to spending time with them, and I always know that they'll cheer me on. Um, yeah, I suppose I also like to thank all of the SP committee and the people,
mm,
friends and family that I have in SP. I mean, I do see my SP friends as family. I really do, and there's the hard work that they do on putting together such incredible competitions all the time, for just selflessly giving to the community just constantly. They really do an awful lot of hard work, and
mm.
just all the people who contribute volunteering and supporting. We're just so grateful for you guys. We couldn't have this community if it weren't for everyone who just takes a little
That's,
bit of their time and contributes. So I'm just very grateful to all of them too. So there we
oh,
go. I'll leave it
brilliant. Thank you
there.
so much. Sammy, thank you really. Is there anything you would like to add just before we close?
Um, just to say, I'm incredibly excited for Commonwealth. I think it'll be a fantastic competition. And if anybody wants to say hi when I'm out there, I'm always willing to have a conversation. If you're somebody who struggled with
Hmm.
anorexia or an eating disorder, or you just want to connect and kind of, share, then I'm always willing to have a conversation.
Sure.
So
Thank
my
you for
DMs
that.
are always open on Instagram, and I'm always willing to have a chat if you happen to bump into me out in the
Sure.
competition. So I look
That's a
forward to seeing
very
everyone.
kind offer. Yeah. And we look forward to meeting you in South Africa.
Yay!
Exactly. Woo. Okay, fine. My two favorite buttons in the whole world. So, I mean, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And we know it's quite late over there as well. So, really, thank you
I'm gonna go
for.
get my dinner now.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We will see you in South Africa. Have a good trip. We look forward to chatting to some of the masters that you help bully into
Yes,
chatting to us
I'll
that are
follow
coming
them.
out. And that's awesome. So we'll see you in South Africa. When do you lift, by the way? It's
I'm lifting on the Tuesday the 8th, so I
okay.
think I'm in the afternoon flight, so I'm very looking forward to it. I think I'm
Awesome.
flying out on the,
Mm,
Saturday, so I'll have a few days to kind of adjust,
yeah.
before I can.
Awesome. Feel that magnetic field pushing the weights away. Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Harney's done an amazing thing with this comp. There's 14 warm-up racks, and there's a full gym there,
Wow.
and there's a gym there with 4 racks just for training. So the athletes who are
Fantastic.
training don't have to come into the warm-up area. So there's no
Mm,
stress or anxiety. He's really, Harney's a powerlifter. He loves the sport. He builds these competitions
mhm.
for the athletes to make their job as easy as possible, which is great. So
That's
we look for,
incredible.
yeah, we will be seeing you in Sun City. We look forward to it.
Yes, looking forward to it too.
Okay,
I'll see you then in
awesome.
person.
Okay, ciao, ciao. Have a great
Okay.
evening. Bye.
Yeah, you too.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, that was Aimee Jarvis. What a phenomenal conversation, and incredibly grateful to her for taking the time to talk to us, but for opening up so honestly about her battle with anorexia and just sharing her journey. And I know, as someone in recovery myself, the incredible value of the sport. I've seen it with people that I've had the opportunity to coach, and this sport can truly be profoundly life changing, and it could well save your life. If you are battling with anorexia, with an addiction, please consider joining a powerlifting gym and the wonderful community that comes with it, and start to shift your mindset from the weight on the scale to the weight on the bar. You've been listening to Coffee and Conversations with Champions. I'm Nicholas Ingle. Thank you for joining us. Up next, in the next 2 minutes, we're going to have Megan Davenport on with us now. Thank you for joining us.